I'm going to read on this youth day, Mark chapter 5, verse 42. Okay? Mark chapter 5, verse 42 simply says, immediately the girl got up and began to walk. She was 12 years old. At this, they all were utterly astounded. Okay? So on this morning, I want to talk about living beyond a blessing. Living beyond a blessing. The Bible tells us immediately the girl got up and began to walk. She was 12 years old, and at this they were utterly astounded. Living beyond a blessing. This girl was 12 years old, the Bible tells us, and she was blessed to wake up. So because she woke up, that means that she would have more birthday parties. Because she woke up, that means that she would have more time with her parents and with her friends. Because she woke up, the blessing was that she could have another sleepover. This little girl was blessed because she woke up. She could live or continue living that preteen lifestyle. The preteen lifestyle can be really fun. Are there any 12-year-olds in here this morning? So you know what it's like to be 12 in 2019. So that means that you could tell me more about being 12 than I could in 2019 because I'm not 12 in 2019. So the fact that she woke up, she gets to experience being 12 even more. But there are some other things that she might experience because she woke up. At 12 years old, there are pressures that young people face. Even if they're younger than 12, if they're older than 12, young people face some peer pressure. This little girl would wake up and she would have to face the peer pressure of people trying to get her to use alcohol. It's a blessing that she woke up, but she would have to face peer pressure of people trying to get her to use drugs or tobacco products. There would be some people pressuring her even to have sex at 12 years old. It was a blessing that she woke up, but she'd also have to face perhaps eating disorders. Young people face depression, and sometimes they even face problems with their parents. They have family issues that they have to face with. So this little girl woke up at 12 years old, but she would face a lot of things. And now this. She would have to face how to live after this blessing. Now we celebrate blessings a lot, but we don't always talk about how to live after you've been blessed. Have you ever considered living beyond a blessing? I mean, blessings at the end of the day, they have to be managed. You can get blessed, but then you have to keep the blessing. What do I mean? Well, even the adults in here, the blessing was the wedding. But then after you got married, you had to actually live in the marriage. So the blessing was the wedding, but now you have to live beyond the wedding. Now you have to be a wife. Now you have to be a husband. The blessing was the promotion at work. That was a blessing. But now you have to live and show up on Monday as the actual supervisor, and now you have to live in leadership. The blessing of a car. How many young people, I know some of you are seniors in high school, how many of you are looking forward to a car? Oh yes, you may already have one. Oh yes, the car is the blessing. But to live beyond the blessing is to maintain that car. You have to get the oil changed. You have to put gas in that car. You have to make sure that it's not overheated. You have to live beyond the blessing. Oh, some people want a house. You want that nice home that you can call your own. The house is the blessing, but then you have to live beyond the blessing. You see, when you're a homeowner, you have to be responsible for the upkeep of the house. Even on yesterday, I was out in my yard and I cut the lawn, but then I need to do the weed eating. So I happen to have the kind that you plug in. My neighbor has the gas kind. So my little plug-in electric weed eater wasn't working. Here I am struggling with the battery, trying to fix it, and my neighbor is going to town, killing all the weeds in sight. The blessing was the house. But now I have to maintain it. Blessings are meant to be managed. She woke up blessed, but now she's known as that child. How is she going to operate, even in the midst of her blessing? The first thing she would have to do is deal with herself. She is the one who received, she was the recipient of the blessing, right? And she may not have been able to understand the blessing. She was 12 years old. How could she really understand this blessing? She had been declared dead. People have been crying, mourning, weeping, and wailing. Jesus told them that the girl was only sleeping. She wasn't dead. They laughed. Jesus put them out. He took the girl's hand, told her to get up, and she got up. How do you explain that? This little girl is going to have to deal with sometimes maybe having to make sense of her blessing. But how many of you know that sometimes blessings are not something that makes sense? All blessings don't make sense. I don't know how God did it. I don't know when God thought this up. I didn't know God can make a way like that. I can't understand it, but I know God did it. I know that God made a way. I can't make sense of it all. She was 12 years old. She had the ability for complex thought. She could express herself through her words. There would be people maybe would say, well, how did you get that? You know how people can be once you get a blessing. How did he get that? How did she get that? What makes them so special? I mean, I've been around for a long time. That should be my blessing. That doesn't make any sense. I have more education than they do. That doesn't make any sense. I have more experience than they do. That blessing doesn't make any sense. I have more talent than they do. And Lord knows I have more money than they do. But God blesses the way God chooses, when God chooses, how God chooses, and who God chooses. So a blessing is not always meant to be explained, but they're meant to be received. So this little girl living beyond the blessing, she would have to deal with herself and accept that some things that God does simply are, they just don't make any sense. Stop trying to make sense of everything. And just accept that God woke you up, baby. But then not only would she have to deal with herself, she'd have to deal with other people. You know, remember, there are people outside. The Bible tells us that Jesus put some folks outside and only left a few people on the inside. So when this little girl got this blessing, she then would have to walk out of the house. And these were people who were laughing even at Jesus. And if they would laugh at Jesus, then they probably would laugh at her. He put them outside. He took her parents and he took those who were with him, and they entered the place and they were there. But the people outside who would witness the blessing, but they haven't seen it yet, they're out there and they're wondering, what is Jesus doing in there? You know, people are always wondering what God is up to. What is Jesus doing? They're outside. What is Jesus doing out there? What's going on? Can anyone in there see inside? Can I lift you up to a window so you can see what's going on? I mean, what's happening in there? Why can't I be in there? I've been a member of the church for 55 years. Why can't I be in there? I've preached every sermon and for years. Why can't I be in there? I've been the usher at the door. How dare Jesus put me out? Why can't I be in there? I paid for the pews in the church. Why can't I be in there? I deserve the blessing even more than anybody else. What's going on in there? These are the kind of people that the little girl would have to, she has a blessing on the inside, but she's going to have to go on the outside. To people who can't fully understand understand the work of God. We, humanity, cannot fully understand the work of God. And God's hands are the depths of the earth. The mountains, they belong to God. The sea is God's. God made it. God's hands formed the dry land. How can we really understand a God like that? But no matter how long they stood outside, they still could never understand the true power of God, because they were not in the presence of God. But when you're in the presence of God, you can get a glimpse into what God is like. But she would have to walk outside. And there's a lot of things when our children go outside. You see, when the children go outside into this world, they have to face the reality of hate. When children go outside into this world, they have to face racism. When our young people go out into this world, they have to face sexism and pain and sometimes discerning. That's why the church is so important. Why is the church important? Why is the church relevant? Why is the church a voice that needs to be heard? Because you got to go outside. And when you get outside, you have to take Jesus with you. You see, this little child would have to go outside. But the same Jesus that was on the inside with her would be the same Jesus that was going to be with her when she went outside. So I know 2019, we're facing a lot of different things. We're facing things now that we never thought that we would face, because we thought that we had taken so many steps forward. But some backwardness has happened. But because of the backward steps, that means that we need to seek the Lord even more. When you go outside, take Jesus with you. When you walk, you realize you don't have to walk alone. When you talk, you realize that the Lord talks with you. When you're out there, you have a companion who sits closer than a friend. You have to go outside. But Jesus is with you. There are people outside looking at your life even now. They're looking from the outside. And they're wondering how you can be so blessed. Young people, there are some of your friends. You think that they're in your inner circle, but they're really on the outside. You see, because they are letting other people decide for them what actions they're going to take. Whenever you don't think for yourself, you're living on the outside. Whenever you do everything that the crowd does, you're living on the outside. Whenever you dismiss what your pastor and people who love you in your church have taught you year after year, you're living on the outside. But I'm so glad that I saw you in action on this morning, because I know that because of this church, you're on the inside. You're on the inside with Jesus Christ. And no matter where you go in this world, because you won't be around here forever, you're going to go to college. You're going to get a job. You're going to continue to grow. You have to take the name of Jesus with you everywhere you go. Why? Because, like this little girl, she had to deal with herself. Then she had to deal with people on the outside. But then she'd have to deal with a thing called life. That four-letter word is something that all of us are still trying to figure out. She'd have to deal with life. You see, she wouldn't be 12 years old forever. But this incident, it would follow her forever. People, the Bible tells us, they were shocked and they were astounded, which means they were amazed. They were like, whoa, we thought she was dead. Look at her walking. Whoa, what really happened in that house? Whoa, they were shocked. They were amazed. And so she was one who would have to deal with that reputation for the rest of her life. You see, the things that happen to you will follow you. So she would have to deal perhaps with naysayers all of her life. I don't really know what happened in that room. Maybe she really wasn't dead. They were in there playing around. Naysayers. Not giving Jesus the credit. We do that even in 2019. Well, something said, no, that was the Holy Spirit keeping you. Well, something, no, that was the Holy Spirit. She took a Tylenol PM. She took a leave or some children's cough syrup that made her sleep. But no! But when she would get to school, she might face bullies. She had to face life. There may be some who would say, oh, she was dead. And you know, if you've been dead for a while, you start to stink. She may have walked around school and they might have called her the stinky girl. You young people, you know what bullying is like. She had to walk out and she had to deal with life. But I'm glad that I know that this little girl would have had some supporters. Almost like people here at this good church. Right here at Mount Tabor, some good supporters. You see, somebody would have praised the Lord with this little girl. It may have been her father, Jairus, that celebrated with her. It may have been Mrs. Jairus that celebrated with her. It may have been the disciples, Peter, James, and John, that celebrated with her. It may have even been the woman with the issue of blood. Because you see, if you read chapter 5 in its entirety, you will find that Jesus was stopped along the way by a woman who had a blood issue. She touched the hem of his garment and she was made whole. That woman might have showed up at the house and said, little girl, let me worship God with you, because Jesus touched me too. And when Jesus touched me, he changed me. So baby girl, I know what you're dealing with. Somebody was there to praise the Lord with this baby. And I believe even in 2019, even on today, there's some people here who wants to praise God with this little girl. Because you know that God touched you before. And because God touched you, you've been changed. Because God touched you, you've been healed. Because God touched you, you were in a dead situation, but now you're alive. Oh, there's somebody here who wants to praise God with this 12-year-old. You open your mouth, and the children will open their mouths. You praise God, and the children will praise God. You follow in the way of Jesus Christ, and the children will follow in the way of Jesus Christ. You live right, and the children will live right. You watch what you post on social media, and the children will watch what they post on social media. You come to church, and the children will come to church. You love one another, and the children will love one another. You give your time to the Lord, and the children will give their time to the Lord. You give your talent to the Lord, and the children will give their talent to the Lord. You give your time to the Lord, and the children will give their time to the Lord. All I'm trying to say is that when you really know Jesus Christ, and you know the power of Jesus, you